Oh boy. Whoops. Hello. I'm not feeling good today. I'm feel confronted with myself is what I'm feeling today. That's today's mood. Feeling confronted with myself. I think I know why I don't like being a player in Dungeons and Dragons and would rather be a GM. I'm a sore loser. I'm a very, very sore loser. So as a player, I just don't have that kind of brain power, you know? Like I don't make the right moves, I don't make the right logical steps. So I feel like an idiot, and I just can't do it. And as a result of that, I end up, man, I don't know. Like, my job is programming, which is usually you do stuff and then you run into a problem and you spend hours banging your head against it. It doesn't translate well. Having GM Fiat, the power to be the games master, takes away a lot of that pressure and that inability to do. I think that's why I like GMing so much. Is it let me go past that. Move past my inadequacies. Moving on. But I hate this point so much. Like, again, I still don't know what the point is. I'm feeling very inadequate lately. I've just not been able to do much work. I feel tired a lot. I just don't feel for it. Like, I don't know what to make of it. I think I'm slowly starting to hide. I need to tell someone soon about this. I think coming Tuesday, I'll bring it up with my counselor. That I don't know what it is. I spent so much time on some problems that should have been fixed, but it's not a fun feeling. It's one of those things it's like the barrier of entry of everything is you're going to run into things and you have no clue how to solve it. Eventually you'll solve it and you'll become better as a result of it, but getting there is not a pleasant process. Yeah, the problem with try is that it turns into this longer word. I wonder how they translate this. I want to use this word because poking is a much... What the hell is this word? I'll just translate directly, works fine. But the problem is, isn't that for fuck's sake, this is just repeating itself. It's like, Lorem, your philosophy is to do the things you can do instead of the things you can't do. And you're like, you should do that. And it's like, what? Are we just reminding Lorem of his own fucking philosophy? It just feels weird when you write something like this. Like, I see the angle, I can see the humanity in it, but it just reads so weird. like, I understand that anxiety can be like that, but I don't see how this anxiety ties into that. Like, anxiety can be different things on different angles. You can have general anxiety, yes. But if it's something you learn, it's not going to contaminate like this that easily. Like, you'd have to work on it. Like, I understand that the anxiety is there for pleasing other people. Okay, I can see that angle. But at the same time, it's like he's starting to doubt himself, which doesn't fit it. Like, he should still believe in himself, but he'd be like, I'm just not good enough. You know, it just doesn't feel like this is as smoothly written as it is. It's like it's a good ride, but it's bumpy. It's like I keep peeking over the edge and I look down, there's no safety rail, and I'm like, you could just fix this. I've never used the term anxiety in Dutch, because it doesn't translate well, and it's also not something anyone ever brings up. Because, believe it or not, there are some things that Tumblr has just invented, and people took it over, and they started seeing it, and they started calling it that, and it contaminated the word. I mean, it's entirely possible that this is a thing people have. I mean, I have it. But it might not be what, like... It's kind of like if everything started calling every illness cancer. It's like, I have cancer, it's like you just cough a bit and you have a cold. Like, that's a problem. You start contaminating a term that's very serious with all these weaker definitions, and people stop losing. Like, oh, you have cancer? Oh, man, that's terrible for you. And another person's like, oh, you have cancer? Oh, well, you'll get over it next week. You know, that's kind of what anxiety is. There's a reason people invented the term triggered, and they invented squink. They invented squink because people started using trigger when they were just kind of about it. You can destroy a word by using it too much for the wrong situations. Just like antibiotics! Don't take antibiotics with cold viruses, please! You're fucking ruining antibiotics. Jackasses. I'm pretty sure... Is Dragon Society nice or not? On one hand, Dragon Society seems to be pretty open and accepting, and bullying isn't okay. But on the other hand, you've got Lorem, who's bullied as if the society... Like, for fuck's sake, if you have racial distinctions this hard, they're not going to give a fuck about your hermaphroditism. That's second nature to let all the flyers bully the Earth Dragon by flying circles over his head. That's what's going to happen. Not people being like, oh, between your legs, ha ha ha. Because they've got better fucking targets. If there's only one person like him in school, fine. They've got a double whammy there. But otherwise, it's like, it's not as obvious. I don't know. Wear a fucking skirt. I don't know. There's ways to fix this, Lorem. No one has to know. Like, I understand the point, but this is not the question to raise. This would have worked fine if Lorem was like, I was the only hybrid in a class of Earth Dragons, and they were always bullying me, or like runners who could outrun me because I couldn't fly as long as they could run. That kind of stuff is so much better, and addresses a problem that you can see coming. Instead, they make this problem that as a human, you actually might have problems with, which... Again, makes Lorem kind of a weird character, with a weird, And not to mention the fact, like, when they grow out of this, like, you say as a kid, like, I was bullied a lot. Like, why not am bullied a lot? And as a kid, like, it feels like this hasn't transferred into adulthood. Yeah. Why isn't that the fucking focus? Why isn't the focus that you are the smallest, weakest one amidst all of them, instead of, I have this weird trait that, if anything, would be interesting? Like, the new thing, Black Clover, there's an interesting thing someone brought up, which is, if you're the only non-magic person amidst many magic users, wouldn't they see you as like a paraplegic, like someone who is disabled? Wouldn't they be like, man, I should help this person, instead of, man, I should fuss shit on this person's life? Like, it doesn't address the problem in the context that makes sense. Wouldn't a lot of dragons be like, man, that's cool, because you're more unique than everyone else who tends to kind of look alike in this weird way? I don't know, it doesn't feel like it's exploring its own concept that well. Like with humans, fine, because humans have done that, and it's something humans would probably do. Because humans, they get a lot out of their sexuality. But dragons don't seem to be as oriented on their sexual nature. They don't seem to have that sort of presentation going on. Emerald, maybe, but the human obsession with genitals has an origin, it has a reason. And it doesn't necessarily translate. I'm pretty sure reptiles wouldn't have much of a sexual culture, because they didn't give a shit, because they're reptiles. They lay eggs! I'm just saying, it doesn't explore the biology of the situation, and it doesn't explore the concept as much as it should, and it just makes us feel forced. It makes us feel like here's something you as a human can obviously relate to, instead of here's something that you can't relate to. Like, maybe they bully him because he's blue, and normally boy dragons aren't blue. That's a good thing, because then you're like, but blue's a boy color, and he's like, no, it's not. You get this fun dissonance, instead of this thing you can't agree with, that makes sense, except for the fact that it kind of feels out of place in a story where easier ways are present. Ugh. Yeah! But that's like the point! But why would it be that different? Like, again, it doesn't explore the problem. It's just like, oh, well, the problem exists and you don't have to worry about the details. But the details are kind of the point. But also, how would you be able to see that? Listen, if a human was a hermaphrodite, you'd never be able to figure it out. Maybe if you paid attention. But you're not going to 1, 2, 3 see it. Because you can easily go one way or another. With lizard people, they're not going to have breasts. They're not going to have fucking voluptuous hips and a giant bulge to see. You're going to have... if there's less dimorphism, it's not going to be noticeable. But you might say, well, they're nude. You can see their genitals. No, none of the dragons have visible genitals, implying that they have either genital slits or they have a cloaca. Fun fact, the cloaca is a... Yeah, the way I think it works is it's the penis and the vagina to begin with. Like, it's so weird. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't explore the biology, and the question is just, Lorem, you're such a fucking shitfest. Why did you have to ruin everything at the end? Like, I think that, you know what would be better? You know what would be a fucking much better way to talk about this? He's imagining it. Lorem has social anxiety. He is very anxious in public, in social engagements. No one is bullying him for his hermaphroditism. He's just imagining all of that. It's all in his head. No one is accusing him of anything. And it's all in his head. Because no one gives a fuck. Wouldn't that be a much better story? Like, it's not real. It's Lorem imagining things. And Ipsum says, well, Lorem has problems with this, and it's kind of in his head. Like, no one's ever brought this up except him. And then everyone starts acting weird because Lorem acts to it, you know? Wouldn't that be a much better story of someone who kind of imagines a problem? And then you could do something fun. You could do, you could go to the counter idea, which is someone is making a problem of it because he wants to be a victim. Because we're living in a world where more and more people are trying to find things to be victims about. There are people with problems, with legitimate problems, but then there are people who feel like their problems aren't big enough, so they start inventing problems so that they are big enough problems so they can get attention. Like, wouldn't that be a great one? Like, Lorem has no problems, he's fine, everyone likes him. So he invents problems because he doesn't feel like he deserves to not have problems. I don't know! Wouldn't that be a much fucking better story than this? Which has to literally excuse itself? Man, I'm just angry now. Because it's not good enough. Because it doesn't properly explore its concept. Here, I'm translating, and I've already invented a better way to address this. That would have worked a bit better. Like, how you could do this, even with some minor tweaks, is have Ipsum say, well, he's kind of like Sebastian. I think Sebastian is the only time that this is ever brought up as like a thing. It would be more interesting if like Sebastian went off with like, oh, isn't he like the, and then Bryce goes, you know that's not important. You know no one cares about that, right? Like if you drop that line there and you have Ipsum say, well, Lorem tends to be anxious about things, about problems, even if they're not real. You know, then you suddenly have a character whose problems are deep going. Like they're not other people. They're his image of himself, which he projects onto others because he feels inadequate and needs to be punished or something. Like suddenly you have this much more interesting character that makes sense in this world. In this world of people caring and not throwing criminals in endless jail, but trying to rehabilitate them, it makes sense that someone like this could come into existence. But here's another thing. Bullying requires a shift of balance. It requires a difference. If you're a fucking Earth Dragon, and there's a flyer sitting opposite of you, you can say, haha, you're not as strong as me, and he goes, well, haha, I can fucking fly to the roof of the building and laugh your ass off as you can't climb up here. You suddenly lose that bullying advantage you need to actually keep going, because now you feel like shit too, and you're like, man, if I bring this up, I'm just gonna be reminded of this thing I can't do. Like, you don't need to tell kids. They'll naturally discover it, and they'll focus on something else, because kids are fucking shit. But, again, we're not even told, like, how long this lasts. I guess Lorem implies that it takes the same amount of time, which makes it all the weirder that Adine doesn't even have her fucking parents around anymore. Ugh. So I'm going to layer that on by making it a little bit more seem to be. Not R, but seem. It's a subtle tweak, but it changes the nature of making you go, huh, seem. Just so that you can be like, okay, maybe he's right, maybe he's not. Adding a little bit of doubt in someone, because, again, these are his feelings, but if I don't bully you, if I've not done anything against you, and you're just imagining all of it, should I be punished? Should he be, like, yes, you should comfort him, but should I be punished for imaginary bullying? Is a question you should ask yourself. Like, imagine if the teachers were like, they ignore him because they're like, Jesus Christ, Lorem, you're making a big fuss about literally nothing. Like, they walk up to me like, what the fuck are you talking about, microaggressions? They just don't want you there, Lorem. You're a klutz. That kind of stuff. That'd be cool. That'd be fun. Be an exploration of something. Instead of, oh no, I'm different. People hate me for being different despite the society being fucking built on being different. Like, again, these people are like, if you're different, you have a purpose for it. And they're like, but you're made by the creator. Like, why the fuck would they care? Like, what's their fucking angle? They don't even have devils or demons, so they can't be like that. Ugh. But no, Lorem! College is literally where every single fucking Tumblrite with their hypersensitive crap is concentrated, Lorem. You going to college, you could just literally walk into a room and everyone be like, oh, he's so brave. Like, I'm just saying that college is like the last place this would really be this strong. Because college is a place where, I don't know, it just feels like the first place this... Because here's the thing. In high school, there's an organization above you and you can't do much. But in college, you have all this free time. So you can suddenly organize and have all these extracurricular activities. You can have these specific educational centers because suddenly there's a lot more overhead. I don't know how to explain this. But in college, there's a lot more space for, like, specific groups of people. I don't know. You could probably find some dudes who are super into it and would want to help you out. I don't know. I'm just saying it's like the last spot I would expect this to be this bad. Unless you're going to, like, a Christian college, in which case, fuck you, that's your problem. You should have seen it coming. The point of college is not to go to where you're already comfortable. Which is ironic, because I'm not doing that. Ba-da-ba-ba-da. No, you don't, Lorem! You can have a pseudonym. You can have a fake avatar. You can ask that the podcast you go on obscure your face. You don't have to, Lorem. You can not be a personality. Ah! Next time. Ah!